Good morning, fifth graders. I'm taping this lesson for you to help you with math lesson 0706, and it is adding with mixed numbers with unlike denominators using fraction models. I'm going to go to the lesson itself and share my screen. And these are the problems that I'm going to go over the first two. We'll see if we have enough time to do the third one. So we have 3 1/4 plus 3 5/8. And I'm going to model that for you. Three and 1/4 plus 3 5/8. All right. So the modeling of the wholes should be relatively easy. It's basically just taking a box and just filling that in. Again, I'm just going to lightly shade. And I'm going to say that this is 3 1/4. And this on the bottom is 3 5/8. Okay. Then we get to the fraction part. And this is going to be a little different. Okay. So this is 1/4. So I'm going to do my partitioning with vertical lines. And since I have 1/4, I'm just going to shade in one of 4 parts. And in my bottom, I have 5/8. But in this case, I'm going to do horizontal lines, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I want to partition it into eighths. So I have to cut it in half, cut that in half, and then cut each of those fourths in half. Okay. Then it tells me to shade in 5 of those. So I have to shade in 5 of those rows. So that's 2, 4, 5. Okay. Shade this in a little bit better. So now it tells me to add them together. All right. So I want to make these two models look similar to each other. And how I do that is I take these vertical lines and I put them on these horizontal lines. And then I'm going to take these horizontal lines and put them on top of the vertical lines. So I'm going to do the vertical first. So I have 3 lines. Okay. Now up on top, I want to make 8 horizontal lines, or actually 7 lines, because I want to make it into eighths. So I cut it in half, cut that in half, cut that in half into fourths, and then I cut my fourths in half. Now the total of the rectangle should equal. So I'm going to count how many are in each column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 in each column, and I have 4 columns. So if I do 8 times 4, I get 32. So 32 is my denominator, okay? Because that's how many parts are in my whole. And if I did look at the same thing, I have 8 in each column, and I have 4 columns, so I should have 32. So now I just have to count how many are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, okay? And in this one, I have 4, and I have 5 rows of 4. So 4 times 5 is 20. So this would be 20 over 32, and this would be 8 over 32. Now, if you notice, they both have the same denominator. So now I can add them together. So now I'm going to count my holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 6 holes. And then I'm going to add 8 over 32 plus 20 over 32. And I know that my denominator will stay the same, and I just add my numerator. So 8 plus 20 is 28. So then my answer would be 6 and 28 over 32. And that's how I'd use it by doing a fraction model. Again, I didn't touch any of my wholes. I could partition them, but that's a waste of time. I know they're wholes, so I can add them up as wholes. All right, so that's our first example. Our second example is going to be 1 2/4 plus 2 3/5. Okay. Again, I'm going to show my 1, and in this case, I'm going to show my 2 wholes. Okay. Shade in my holes. 1. That's 2. And again, this is a strategy that you can use if you don't feel comfortable with multiplying your denominators by each other. This is another strategy you can use by just drawing a picture, drawing a fraction model. So now I'm going to draw my 2/4. Again, my fourths I'm just going to do as vertical lines. I'm going to shade in 2 of them. And this represents 1 2/4. And on the bottom, I'm going to draw my 3/5 going horizontal. So if I want to do it into fifths, I have to draw 4 lines. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I want to shade in 3 of those. Okay, 3 of those. All right. So again, I don't do anything with my holes. But in this case, I want to have these 4 horizontal lines go on top of the vertical lines, and in the vertical lines to go on top of the horizontal lines. So I know I want to cut this into fourths by going vertical. And up here, I want to put the horizontal lines into fifths. Okay. So now let's see how many total rectangles are in my hole. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 going across, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 times 5 equals 20, and it equals the same. 4 times 5 equals 20. So how many are shaded? Well, I know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are in each column. I know I have 2 columns, so then that actually turns into 10. So that's 10/20. And here I have 4 going across in a row, and I have 3 rows. So 3 times 4 is 12. That would be 12/20. So now I can add them all together. I have 1, 2, 3 holes plus 10/20 plus 12/20. Okay. So I have 3, and again, 20. My denominator stays the same. 10 plus 12 is 22. Uh-oh, what do we notice? We notice that this is an improper fraction. So I need to make that into a whole number, all right? So I can do 2 different ways of doing this. All right, I can pull out a whole, or I can divide. I can divide 20 divided into 22, or I can say, I want to pull out a whole. I want to draw a number bond. And I want to say, all right, what fraction would equal a whole if I have 20 in my denominator? Well, it should be 20. 20 over 20 equals a whole. And then I want to add, what do I need to add to 20 to equal 22? Or I could subtract 22 minus 20. and you should get 2. So 20 20ths plus 2 20ths equals 22 20ths. Then I want to circle my holes, okay? So I know now that that equals 1 and 2 20ths. So now I want to add it all together. Now this is where some 5th graders get this confused and just say that my answer is 3 and 2 20ths, but they forget about this whole. So now I have 3 plus 1 equals 4, and then 2 20ths left over. Okay, and this would be my answer, 4 and 2 20ths. All right, I'm going to do one more. My next one would be 3 and 3/6 plus 2 and 1/3. Okay, so I'm going to draw my 3 holes. And again, try to make your models close to being equal. If they're not, again, it's still a sketch and it's not going to be perfect. So I have 3 holes on top. Because this represents 3 and 3/6. And this is 2 and 1/3. I have 2 holes on the bottom. Now I want to draw the fraction 3/6. And I want to draw them vertically. Well, I know I can cut 6 in half equally, so then there's 3 parts. So I wanted to have 3 parts on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I want to shade in 3 of those because it says 3/6. Okay. Now down on the bottom, I have 1/3. And I want to do horizontal. So that would be into thirds. And I want to shade 1 part because it says 1/3. I want to take the horizontal lines and put them on top of the vertical lines. And my vertical lines I want to put on top of my horizontal. Now I'm going to count how many parts are in my hole. Well, I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going across. So 6 are in each row. I have 3 rows. So 6 times 3 is 18. So 18 is in my denominator. And this looks the same, so I have 18 there. Now I have to count how many are shaded. Well, this is a 3 by 3. So 3 going across, 3 going down. So 3 times 3 is 9. And this I have 1 row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now I have to add up my holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 holes. And then I have 9/18 plus 6/18. So this should equal 5 holes. And again, I do not add my denominators. They stay the same, but 9 plus 6 is 15. So then my answer would be 5 and 15/18. Okay. So our learning target today was to add mixed numbers with unlike denominators by using a fraction model. And that's what we did. We used the fraction model. We didn't use any multiplying. We didn't do any equivalent fractions like I've done in previous lessons. This was a new way of using a fraction model. So hopefully this will be useful for you. And for some of you, this strategy might work. So I will see you in a few minutes during our Zoom lesson.